Today, I want to talk about what learning to receive has taught me about myself. So, it's something that I've been working on recently, and it's been showing me parts of myself that I didn't fully recognize. I knew it was there, but I didn't know the depth. So a lot of people think receiving is about what you can take or what you get, but receiving is actually multidimensional. It's emotional, it's physical, it's mental, it's spiritual, and it's energetic because it involves love, money, opportunities, rest. And receiving is being able to allow things to come to you without the restriction. And that restriction is what I had to work through. So if you're a person who is a doer, an overgiver, or a person that wear that cape, then you probably understand um whenever it's time for you to receive, even if you don't need it. Like even if you don't need it, you will say, I got it. Even if you do need it, sometimes you still say, "Well, I got it. I can do it." We've always heard give and receive, but it's actually receive and give because how can you give when you haven't been receiving? Because if you're always giving, you can put yourself in some type of lack to where or stress, being tired because you're always doing. By you saying, "No, I got it," you're saying, "No, I don't need anything. I'm gonna overwork myself." So I had to lower my pride, and that's something big that I had. My pride was and make that intentional decision that I wanna receive. Once I made that intentional decision, it was like a shift started happening in my external world and internal world. And when I say that, I'm speaking of, like, my emotions, my mental, my thought process. Um, so I started with trying to take off that cape and allowing, things to be able to take place without me stepping in, and that was the start of it. So then I started noticing like a lot of things coming towards me, giving me I started noticing opportunities coming towards me to give me the reason to say yes to acceptance, accepting some type of help, even if I didn't need it. Now that is where the restriction also was there because I was ready to say I got it, but I had to release that and soften that. And it was like the more I worked on it, the more opportunities came to me. It was like, again, what my external world was aligning with what I was doing internally. Now, where the restriction was, it was because it was all women. Like it was no men. If it was, I feel like if it was a man, because that's my comfort zone, it would be easy for me to say yes, of course. Give me it all. But it was all women, and they were so genuine, loving, supportive, like was genuinely, um, just offering, just wanting offering help. Like, "Do you need anything?" Or just giving compliments, just giving me a chance to receive. Um, but they didn't and not knowing what I'm doing. Now, I had a few people who I told about on my receiving journey that, I'm doing this thing about receiving to, you know, m m tear down, blockages that I may have, and they were so awesome because they didn't judge me. They didn't even though they didn't really understand what I was really talking about, they were very understanding and loving, and whenever they had a chance, they was doing things to give me an opportunity to receive, like asking me, like, just whatever, just give me an opportunity to receive, and they are awesome for that. I feel so blessed to be in alignment with people like that. Because they're were, you know, they didn't have to, but they if that's the journey that I'm on, they was like, "Okay, let me allow you to receive." And when I had a restriction, they would be like, "Nina, you need to receive." So again, I love that I'm in an alignment with that type of people. And it was, as I softened that inner restriction, the more I did it, the more it was like I was allowing it was like a blockage was released because, even other opportunities was happening, that were that I if it seems like there were a blockage in the way to not receive those opportunities. Like last year, even with school, I was wanting to enter a school, and it was like it was always something in the way to where, um I couldn't really get in. And it's not a coincidence that as soon as I started working on, um, softening that inner restriction and work on receiving, they called me. They called me. I had stopped. I said, let me, because I already know about forcing things. So I said, I'll just come back later. And it was, months later, I never did reach back out, but they reached out to me. And again, women, women reached out to me and they did everything to make sure I was in there, emailing me, calling me, to make sure everything was done correctly, to make sure I was in there. And yes, it is not a coincidence. And what I noticed eventually is that as I was softening, like, well, releasing that restriction, that inner restriction when to receive, it was like it was allowing me to soften on the inside. Um, and that's a great feeling to be able to allow yourself to really soften on the inside and not just relying on a specific person or people because it wasn't just one person, it was just and it's not relying on a person because you don't want to just be taking, because you don't wanna be dependent, and it's not about again, it's not about taking or what you can get, it's allowing things to come to you without restriction and knowing that you are worthy of accepting, and that is something that I was like, "Okay, well, this definitely goes back to my self-worth journey. I am worthy to accept help. I am worthy to have support, and I don't have to immediately give back when receiving." That's another thing. You don't have to feel obligated to when receiving, because you receive with ease. You don't have to feel obligated to immediately give back once you receive. And again, it's done with ease. If it's something that is forced, it's not in alignment. You receive with ease. So if you are a person who is a doer or overgiver, a person that wear that cape, I encourage to work on receiving, even if you don't need it. When the opportunity comes, accept it and work on releasing or and softening that inner restriction so you can allow opportunities to come to you. And it's okay to say yes. You are worthy. You are worthy to receive. Even if you're because you don't want to be in a state where you need. You don't wanna be in a state of lack. You want to have and continue having. You should not feel like you have to work hard for every little thing. It does not have to be like that. It does not have to be like that. If you are a person who is on a receive type journey, um, let me know how your experience is. Put it in the comments, reach out to me. I would love to hear your experience with receiving and the whole journey, um, and how your world shift in a way that it has put you in a softer environment inwardly, not just externally, but inwardly. And thank you for taking the time to watch and listen.